Welcome to my class, and in this I'm going to do diagrams to explain propensity to consume and propensity to save. So let's see. I'm going to do propensity to consume. It's very simple and it's uh, it's easy to understand too. Now look at this. Let's take propensity to consume. So in the diagram you see that on the OX axis we've taken income, and on the OY we've taken consumption. And very interestingly, we have made one 45-degree curve which shows, with sort of that a 45-degree line shows that whichever point you take on it is equal to 1. So every point on that is equal to C plus S. So any divergence between those two will show you that we make a consumption curve C dash, that is autonomous consumption, which begins above 0, and the consumption curve is upward sloping. So in this we see that the consumption curve begins below the above the 45-degree line, and it cuts the line at a point, and then it goes below it. So this itself tells you a story. So what is it? So first of all, there's a direct relationship between income and the desired consumption. As income increases, consumption also increases. The consumption curve C slopes upwards, indicating that higher income leads to higher consumption expenditure. So and C dash, as you see, even at 0 level there is some consumption. So minimum level of consumption even at 0 level of national income, and this is known as, we denote it as autonomous consumption. So C dash. So of course, how do you think that this minimum level of consumption goes on? It can be financed by borrowing or from past savings. Now another thing is that we find, see this 45-degree line, let's see what happens. I'm going to explain a little on that. So the consumption curve initially starts above the 45-degree line. So what does it denote? That it is using, the consumption is much more than the income. Let's take Y, let's take this line as a helping line and put it as Y, 45-degree line, C plus S. So in this we find that here, before the break even, now what is a break even? Let me just explain. What is break even here? Break even means that consumption is equal to income. That means whatever income is there, it is consumed. So there are 0 savings, and if you just look at the diagram which is underneath that, you will see that 0 is on the x-axis, a saving is on the x-axis, that is denoted by that. And when we are doing consumption, you see when we are showing autonomous consumption, and when we are saying that it is financed by borrowing or from past saving, look at the saving curve which is below, just below that, which shows negative savings. That means you're utilizing those savings. Is that clear? So one curve, from consumption curve you can work out the saving curve, or from the saving curve you can work out the consumption curve, or you can understand it better. Now again, there is this property of consumption function or propensity to consume, is that as income increases, consumption expenditure increases, but somewhat by a smaller amount. Why? Because a part of the increased income is saved. So this property is popularly known as Keynes's psychological law of consumption. It implies that the value of MPC always lies between 0 and 1. So, or in simple words, we can say that the consumption increases as your income increases, but after a certain point of time, you have when your needs are all fulfilled, there is some portion of it which you can save. Now look at the figure which is underneath. So you can see after the break even, that is when the savings are 0, what happens is savings start happening. Why? Because consumption comes under the 45-degree line, which means consumption is taking place, but side by side, what is noticed is, that it is not increasing as much as the income is increasing. So where is that? What is happening to the rest of the income? Well, because income is C plus S, some of it is being saved. So that is what you can see here. So the one can also find out what is the saving function. Consumption function we've done. So if you, again, the diagrammatic, now let's just look at that. The saving function, what is this? So income is measured on the x-axis and saving is on the y-axis. The y-axis, we have, you know that there are 4 quadrants in a graph paper. So the first quadrant is there and the fourth quadrant is there, in which y is minus y. Okay, so it goes below. So we have the y, we when we make the line y, the axis y is, it goes to the negative section also. So SS1 is an upward sloping supply curve which shows direct or positive relation between saving and income, and it starts from the negative region of the y-axis. What does this imply? That even at 0 level of income, there is dissaving or negative saving equal to OS. Or we can say, since you have this curve on top, we can say that the savings are equal to the autonomous consumption that is taking place. So it is. So, and you see that the saving curve intersects the x-axis at point B, which is known as a break-even point. At this point, consumption is equal to income and saving is equal to 0. So after the break-even point, as income increases, savings are getting positive. So we have positive savings in that. So this is a rough idea as to what is propensity to consume and save, and what is the psychological law of consumption. One can understand with the help of these 2 diagrams. So you can get a question as trace a saving curve from the consumption curve. So if you make somebody is giving you the diagram, you can make a diagram based on the saving curve on consumption and vice versa. All right.